welcome to our Q&A with Michael Donovan and Richie of Michael Donovan Casting. How are you guys?
We're good, hanging in there.
Yeah.
Well,
We haven't
Sherry.
seen each other in 2 months, Richie?
Yeah.
2 months we haven't seen each other, so it's so
Don't
weird
ask
to
me
go
about
from seeing each
chemistry.
other,
I don't know what it is anymore.
right? Going every day together and all of a sudden, not at all. It's bizarre, so.
It's weird, this new little dynamic we have of just seeing each other through our computer screens.
Yeah.
So our little Q&A today, hi Charlotte, I miss you. Our little Q&A today, I'm going to ask the guys a couple of questions and then we'll open it up. If you have a question, you can go ahead and type it. Hi Jackie, you can go ahead and type it in the group chat and we'll try to get to as many questions as we can.
Right.
Let's start with Michael and Richie. Can you tell us how you got to casting?
Sure. I was an actor and a director. I'm still a director when I have time, and I directed a show in Hollywood. And Beth Holmes, some of you guys know Beth Holmes, casting director, came backstage to tell me that she loved the direction and would I be interested in directing casting sessions. And I had no idea what she was talking about. So, but you know, as an actor, we say yes, right? Of course. And 2 days later, I'm hired, and I'm totally winging it. This was when it was strictly commercials that I was doing then. And over a period of time, I just found that I really loved it. And then Megan Foley offered me what Richie does for me now. And that was amazing. And Megan was just extraordinarily generous and lovely to work with. And then eventually I went out on my own, and here I am. So never saw this coming. Never saw this. So it's wonderful.
And then Richie, listen,
Yeah.
first I met you and we've gone on, we've sung together in Westfeed and we've done shows together as actors. But first time I met you, I was auditioning for something casting of house and you were there. Oh, someone. You were there at the table and you were like, you're in Shrek. I have lots of friends in Shrek. Say hi to everybody. And like, I said hi today at the audition. His name is Richie. How did you get there from acting?
Yeah, so I took a very unusual path because I didn't really get into performing until really late in high school. And so my like little known fact about me that a lot of people may not know is that my degree from college was in statistics. I did not get a degree in theater. I tried to perform and stuff, but by the time I graduated, all my friends who had majors in this stuff and had been working nonstop in school and everything, I was like, I am totally at a disadvantage here. I don't know anything about the biz and what I want to be doing in it, but I know I want to go that direction. So I immediately just sought out internships and landed at a talent agency, KMR, for probably a lot of you know that, one of the top theater agents on the West Coast. And I was there for about 6 months, but the agency world was not really for me. But of course, working in the LA theater department of an agency, I was talking to Michael in Michael's office very regularly. And so I kind of reached out to try interning there and see what that was like. And immediately that was a much better fit. I dug it right away, and several months into just kind of interning and learning as much as I could, I was, you know, Michael had an opening for a new assistant, and it all kind of magically went from there. And now we're 8+ years into our casting relationship together.
That's so awesome.
Let me proudly say that when the Artios Awards, which are the Casting Society of America's Outstanding Achievement in Casting Awards, when they opened up the Associate Award 3 years ago, Richie has won every year. So
every year, Richie.
Yep. So yeah.
Richie doesn't ever talk about these things, actually. He's so low key. He's really.
Oh, well, you don't have to work with him. Hold on.
Thank goodness.
He's the best.
Richie.
He's the best.
Well, I was going to ask you something else, Richie, while you said, oh yeah, you know, I found also in terms of being an agent or being in casting, like it's so much more fun to offer the job than to try to get them the job, as agents are trying to get them the job. It's so much fun, and you're like, you got it.
Yeah.
Totally.
I mean, for me, it's like working at an agency, you have this pool of talent that you work really intimately with, and it's very finite. And for us, my favorite thing, and maybe we'll get into this is more, is we kind of have an infinite pool to go through. And my favorite part of the process, we post a breakdown, people submit, their agents submit, whatever, but we are always thinking on our own about who do we want to bring in. And
right.
there's no rules with that. We're not an agency with we rep these 100 clients and that's it. It's like, that person we saw 10 years ago versus that person that, just graduated Michael's class, or that person we see all the time. We just can pick from whatever pool we want. And that's so creatively fulfilling for me. So instantly I latched on to just like this boundless, resource that we get to play with in casting. And I was like, okay, that is a very satisfying, work opportunity. So that's why I love casting so much.
And we are sometimes more aware of your availability than your agents are.
True. That is so. I've had many times where an agent will submit someone and like, they doing seconds.
Or we'll call somebody up and they go, oh yeah, I meant to submit them. Oops.
Yes.
Or kind of conversely, we'll find out sensitive information before it's public. Like, that person's pregnant. Wait, can I say that yet? Yeah. Should I say? I know because they had to be canceled for a project, but maybe I got to be careful about, this just for me. Okay, great. That's
or we are aware of relationships that may have split now.
Yes.
Can't put those two people in the same show right now, that kind of thing.
Yeah. All right. I've gone through that with scheduling appointments and like, okay, I'll bring this person in today and maybe this one tomorrow, and not both the callbacks. We'll see what happens there.
But we're also responsible for some relationships that stuck. We have at least
casting directors are also matchmakers.
A couple of marriages, a couple of same-sex relationships, so we're good. Yeah.
Michael Donovan is the new Chris Harrison.
That's me.
The Bachelor of LA Theater World. So let's talk about the casting process. And so when you get hired to cast a show, what happens next? What is your process? Like, what are some of the steps you go through that lead up to auditions?
Okay. Basically, it depends on my relationship with the creative team. We work with a lot of directors multiple times, and I have very long-term relationships with these people. So in those situations, it's pretty much shorthand. I kind of know what their taste is. I know how to get there pretty quickly. But what I do is I usually ask the director to write the breakdown. It helps a lot for the director to say how he or she sees the role, whether it's a physical attribute, whether it's an emotional attribute, whatever it might be. So that's usually the first step. Then we take that breakdown and we kind of play with it and goose it into an official breakdown. We add our thoughts to it as well, and it goes out. We put almost everything we do on both breakdown and actors access. It's very important to me. You guys have heard me say this a million times. In every session that we do, we have people that we have not met. In every session that we do. It's very important to me to keep giving new people a chance and for us to get to meet them. I think Richie and I both feel very strongly about that. Mm-hmm. So breakdowns out on both breakdown and actors access. And then, we're going to see what happens now. I think we're going to have a lot of first tapes, self-tapes for the first round now, many more than we used to have in the past. It used to be for theater, the first round was live. We'll see if that continues or not, because we don't know yet. For us, we're pretty lucky. Our directors often come to the first round. When you say that's true, Richie? Yeah, at least for the theater world. When we're going to a callback round, we know that it's pretty serious. If you're getting callback from us for theater, yeah, we're pretty seriously interested. So I would say that's a very shorthand version of what we do. Does that give you your answer, Amber? I mean,
it does.
Okay.
Yeah. Couple things to add. Something that you may not know about in the process is that our work as casting directors, it extends beyond just actors. A lot of times a producer will approach us and maybe they're kind of newer to this community, new to producing for whatever reason. And they're like, so I've got the show, but maybe that's all I have. Can you help me find a director, a choreographer, a music director? So a lot of times we're kind of casting elements of the creative team as well, as actually bringing in the actors into it. But yeah, you know, and then, you know, we typically, in addition to fleshing out the breakdown with the team, we'll have a in-person meeting, talk through it, get a vibe for how we connect with these people. Because if it's a new relationship, you know, getting into that room for the first time, it can be kind of a wild card. It's like, okay, so who are we spending 8 hours, you know, 3 days in a row with? How smooth is this going to be?
The other thing too is that because we're independent, we have the ability to say no. So, you know, if there's something that doesn't appeal to me or something that I feel doesn't have a whole lot of merit or I find offensive, any of those things, you know, we're going to turn it down. So, and I've turned down, you know, many projects over the years. Sometimes, you know, where it's hard because sometimes it's financially rewarding, but that's all. And I want to feel good about what I present to you guys to come in to audition for. And I think the same thing applies to you as well. I think you need to be very aware of what you're auditioning for. And if you're coming into audition, it says to us that you're interested. It doesn't say that you're going to say yes necessarily, but it says you're at least interested. So if you haven't done any homework at all coming in, then it just doesn't make any sense. You're wasting your time if you know you're not going to do this project. Why come in? So.
Yes. My follow-up question to that is, so I know a lot of people who are kind of afraid of their agents, and so they don't really want to do the process, but they go in because they're like, well, my agent sent me in, but I'm not really into this. Like, what is your advice to actors on that kind of situation?
I think you have to have it. For me, I always say, Richie's heard me say this a million times, I think a relationship with an agent is like a marriage. And you've got to figure out how to make that marriage work. If you are finding that you are going out for things that you are just not interested in or things that you are wrong for, you have to reevaluate whether this is the right marriage. I think that's the first and foremost thing. If you are scared of your agent, that's not a good relationship.
Yeah.
Your agent gets paid what? 10%, right? You've heard this so many times. So what percentage of the work should they be doing? 10%. It's 90% yours. It's 90, it's your ship. They're going to help you steer it, but it's your ship. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't respect what your agent says and pay attention to what your agent says, but you don't have to agree. So if there's something where you feel, you know what, that's just not me, I think it's okay to say to them, I really don't want to do that, because what's going to happen is you're going to come and audition for it and you're going to go, well, you don't want to even be here. So that's going to come through clearly. So on the flip side of that is I think there are certain things where we as performers limit ourselves a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think sometimes maybe there's a wall there that you're a little bit afraid of, and just kind of pushing through that a little bit, you go, oh, wow, holy crap, who knew this is on the other side of this wall? And what I just opened up for me is amazing because I tried something, because I was willing to gamble and take a chance. That's different.
That's a great answer. And while we are on the subject of agents, does someone have to have an agent to be able to get in front of you or to be seen by you at an audition? Does that require an agent?
Oh, Rich, you want to take it?
I mean, there's a lot of great ways to get in, specifically for theater. You know, it's so easy. First of all, if you have a pre-existing relationship with us, obviously, you know, the agent, sometimes it's like, you know, we know this person so well, like the agent, you know, it's like they're not introducing us to someone we don't already know. But I mean, Actors Access, you're able to submit yourself directly to any project. Of course, we're all, as Michael already said, we always have Actors Access as part of it. And so, you know, even if we don't know you, if you seem right for the role, we're going to check out your resume and then, you know, potentially bring you in if it feels like a right fit. There's also open calls. So of course you don't need an agent to attend an open call. It's, you know, I think you should always be working towards having an agent, but if you're in between agents, if you've never had an agent, while you're working towards finding an agent, please keep doggedly going after it, submitting yourself, trying to, you know, network in different ways, you know, find ways to meet people, and then, you know, attend open calls, just whatever you can do to get in the room. it's really, there's a lot of ways, especially within theater, to make sure you can get submitted and be seen.
Absolutely.
You want to talk about open calls a little bit, Amber? I mean, that'd be great. We talked a little bit about that, I think, last time when we were all together, but I'm not sure it was the same group of people. So
No,
I get very frustrated about open calls, guys. So I see Michael Risk in there. What's a New York open call like? Freaking zoo, right?
oh, there. I got him.
There's the famous non-union hairspray open call that happened a couple months ago that Ripley, Greer, and Pearl said never again because they literally had to stop letting people into the building.
Yep.
It was insane.
So now let's contrast that with the Los Angeles open call, in which, what's the most we've ever gotten at an open call, Richie? 120 maybe? I mean, I don't even know. And that is a huge, that would be like the Hollywood Bowl. We sit there sometimes and it's just appalling how few people show up.
For hours.
Sit there for 5 hours. One of the examples is ICT in Long Beach. We sat there for 5 hours recently. We saw 27 people, I think it was. It's just like, what? And as a former actor, as a former musical theater actor, it really pisses me off because I went to many of those open calls that Michael's referring to when I was in New York, and arrived at 6 o'clock in the morning and found there was already 100 people on the list and waited 8 hours and didn't get in. Leslie, you know about those calls too, right? So yeah, I mean, they're nuts. So it's appalling to me that people are not taking advantage out here. If you have an agent and you got in through your agent, that's of course the best way. But if your agent wasn't able to secure you an appointment, or you're between agents, whatever it might be, come remind us you're alive. Why not? How does that hurt?
Speaking of that, I have a lot of people that'll text me and say, like, I didn't get an appointment for this. Does that mean they don't want to see me? They're not interested in me? Should I still go in? What do you say to that?
You want to take it? You want to do it?
So you're saying people reaching out if they didn't get brought in for something?
Huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Michael already might have mentioned this, but there's always the idea of prove us wrong, and that's what the open call is for. Maybe you submitted, maybe you really want to get in, and you guys got to understand that as much as we'd like to bring in so many people for every project, sometimes we just have such a short window of time. Maybe, it could be as short as like, we have 4 hours one day for the entire project. And it's like, we just need to bring in a handful of options for these people. Obviously that is the exception, not the rule. We try to bring in as many people per role as we can for each thing, but sometimes, we may not have the time or ability to try something a bit more out of the box. And so, especially if there's an open call, come in, give us your take on the thing, and we'll see if it does fit or not. But obviously, it's not necessary, especially for people we know well. If we know what we're looking for, we know what the roles are, we know what the team is wanting. So us not calling you in more often than not is, us saving your time. But there's always the chance that, we didn't think of it and it totally works, of course.
And especially what you said, the limited number of appointments that we have available. We obviously have many, many more choices beyond what we can fill. And so we try to also spread it out a little bit, not give every single appointment to one agency, because that's not fair either. So sometimes this is what's especially frustrating, is that your agent got a limited number of appointments, okay? So, and then you don't show up for your appointment, or you show up unprepared for your appointment. And it's like, so we are working with a limited number, they're working with a limited number, and you were like, oh, yeah, I forgot. It's like, whatever. Or I didn't look at it, it really is extremely frustrating in those situations, because we think about all of the hundreds and hundreds of people, or thousands sometimes, that are in our, our files that we could have pulled in, and we gave you a shot because we thought you were the better choice, maybe even above people who are our closest friends, because we thought you were more right for the role, and then you don't treat it with any respect. It's really frustrating.
Incredibly frustrating. I'm going to go to the group chat for a question from Sherry. Hi, Sherry.
Sherry, Ron.
Sherry would like to know, how do you feel about actors going in for roles that they aren't quite right for, just so that they can be seen by you or the director or music director, whoever else might be in the room?
I think it's a bad idea. I really do. I think that there are enough opportunities for you to be seen. When you come in for something that you're totally wrong for, it concerns me about working with you as a professional. I want to work with a professional artist. I am professional, and I'm assuming that you are as well. So if you're coming in for something where it's like, what are you doing here? You know, the white guy who came in for fences, for real.
I had a girl come in for Once on This Island.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, I'm all for pushing the envelope a little. That's different. If we're like, you know, where it could be a different ethnicity, it could be a different body size, where there isn't anything specific, where those are fine. But when it's like, when it's been very clearly set up what we're looking for and you're just ignoring it, I think you're taking away the attention and the time that could be given to somebody who is right for it. So I think it's a bad idea.
There's a big difference between presenting them with a very bold option that is, you know, against type. It's like, well, what if this was played by a woman instead of a man? Where it's like, okay, maybe there's a world where that could work based on what this piece is. But it's another thing with just doing something that, you know, is like, it doesn't work at all. There's no way that I would work as this role in this show, but I just want to be seen. Like, that is when it doesn't matter. And slightly off topic, but in a similar sense, even worse is going to an open call or whatever to be seen, just to be able to meet the team when you're not actually even available for the project. That's even worse. Don't get us excited about something that we then don't have access to. It's like, you know, let's meet you on something else that you're right for and available for, but don't come to this thing and waste our time and get us excited when you can't actually commit to that.
That's how you get on everybody's shit list. That's how you get on it immediately, because it's like you are offering a product that's not available. It's not fair. It's different. We totally understand you're auditioning for a bunch of things all the time. We get it. So if something happened, you know, where, you know, Jeannie and Coffin, you auditioned for something, and then, you know, between the time you audition for us and then a couple of days later you book something else, that's a given. That's a given. But if you're coming in to audition for us knowing you're not available, that's not cool. Not cool at all. And that's how you piss people off. You got to think about this, you know, less about this audition and more about this career. All right. We're not looking at you for this role only. We're looking at you for bringing you in for all the things that we're going to be doing, hopefully anyway, for the many years to come. Right. So we're building a relationship, not just doing an audition.
Oh, absolutely. I had a lovely blonde hair, blue-eyed young lady come in to Once on This Island auditions because she was interested in Oklahoma, which was our next production.
Oh, see, yeah.
Get in there and meet the team before that. Yeah.
Not cool. And white girls, stop singing from Once on This Island, please, please.
Thank you for saying that, Michael. Makes me grit my teeth. It really.
Yep.
So let's see that.
Dang it, I have to rework my book now.
If John Massey sings Once on This Island for us one more time.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? If John Massey wants to sing from Once on This Island, you're a perfect Timoon, man. You'd be awesome.
I think we can all see that. That's going to win Richie some more awards there.
Bold. That's this guy.
So let's see, I'll go to, we'll go to an Actors Access question and questions about where to find auditions. So you post your auditions on Backstage.
The theater ones, yes.
And you post them on Actors Access.
Well, let's go back. If it's an equity open call, it is posted on Backstage, Playbill, and Broadway World.
And the equity website, if you're equity.
Right. If it's not an equity open call, then you're going to find this on Breakdown and Actors Access.
And so on Actors Access, do you have tips for people on how to get the best ways to get selected by you from Actors Access? Is it helpful to have video clips on there and different things like that? What are your recommendations?
Yeah, I think if we don't know you, if we've never met you, there's this project that we're working on that you're super interested in and you want to, you know, catch our eye. Obviously, having your resume up to date, that's a given. Everything on there is as accurate and specific as possible. In terms of media, you know, not that we go to reels for theater a lot, but, you know, just having an updated reel as best as possible is great. Something that I think a lot of people don't think of within the musical theater world, and, you know, may not be checked all that often, but, you know, please, if you're a singer, have singing footage up there. If you're a dancer, have a little dance reel up. You know, let us see the different styles that you do. It all helps.
Especially if we don't know you, because we have limited appointment availability. So it's hard to take a chance on someone we don't know and not being able to see anything from them.
It also applies to when we're sitting behind the table and somebody might ask a little bit more about you, and we can just pull up stuff immediately that's available. So I think, you know, I think you need to have all of it. I think you need to have the website, you need to have the reel, you've got to have all of that stuff, guys. Even if we don't get to it, there's going to be some time where it's going to be needed. So have it all available as best as you can. And you know, your reel doesn't have to be long either. I don't want it to be long. So, I mean, the reels, they're going to look about the first minute, and that's all they're going to look at. So just know that.
And then once you have all of that going on, and especially on Actors Access, then you want to search for auditions and submit for stuff. Yeah.
Yep. And also for those of you who have agents that are film and television agents and don't want you maybe to do theater, or aren't thrilled about you doing theater, but you still want to do theater, then you can submit yourself still. So I think it's important for you to be on Actors Access and know what's going on.
And then the icing on the cake with your self-submitting is, and there's a right way to do it. There is, more often than not, you're allowed to include a note with your submission. What doesn't work is just kind of like the copy and pasted. I send this out to every single thing, whether or not it applies or not. Yeah. But yeah, which is silly, you know. But if you're able to, you know, include a couple points about why specifically, you know, maybe you would be right for this, whether we know you or not. Even if we know you, but we don't know that you are specifically right for this thing, or that you do this thing that's accurate for this role, that's great. Or just, you know, even introducing us, hey, you know, lots of musical theater credits, I'm a dancer, you know, check out my reels, anything that can maybe push it over the top. That's what each element of your profile is: the resume, the reels, the singing footage, any notes. You know, who knows what will catch our eye, and who knows if you're even right, who knows if we have the space to consider you. But at any given project, each individual element could be the thing that pushes it over the top, that gets you seen. So
I think it's also important for everything you're doing. I mentioned Megan Foley before. When Megan and I were working together, she would get notes that would say, "Dear Sir." It's like, really? We'll get a note from an agent telling us about this brilliant play that you're in, that we cast you in. You know, it's like, yeah, I think I know he's in this play, you know? Make it personal.
Oh my, yes, I've got those too, and they're currently in Once at 3D Theatricals.
Really? Oh wow, I should see that.
A couple questions.
I hate to whom it may concern. I'm like, that drives me.
We're human beings. A couple questions that came in that kind of relate to this. Asking about not necessarily singing clips, but like cabaret stuff and self-taping your book. I think anything that shows off your voice, you know, not that John Massey needs to self-tape his entire book, but, you know, having a few things on there is great. And if you're, you know, if you have a cabaret act, you know, having some clips from that, let us see what you do in your kind of, you know, comfortable environment. I think, you know, anything could be good, and, you know, and label it too, so that we know what it is. Because, you know, if we're looking for rock stuff, we're not going to maybe go to your more, you know, cabaret set. But, you know, I think just allow us to find it as best as possible. And then when it's appropriate, it'll help.
Hey, I'd love to respond to Alana's question, if you're cool with that, Amber.
Yeah,
what does an actor do right now? It's a great question, Alana, because right now is a tough time for all of us figuring this out, right? I will tell you, though, there's a couple of things that we have done just recently since it all went down. We're doing a world premiere of a play called Blackouts, Murray Mednick's new play, that he specifically wrote to be done online. There are going to be 6 live performances in June. Look for details about it. So, and we have an extraordinary cast, and they are all going to self-tape, but it will not self-tape. How do you say that? How do you say it? Live perform, I guess. I don't even know the terminology yet. And they are in rehearsal right now, and it's under a SAG-AFTRA new media contract. So that's one opportunity. Second thing is looking at Charlotte Wen right there. Charlotte is in, if you want to watch You Can't Stop the Beat, which is, have you guys seen it yet?
Awesome.
If you haven't seen it yet, I'm so proud of it. Mark Shaman came on board and we did it as an Actors Fund benefit. And if you're feeling a little down, guys, just watch it. It will totally lift all your spirits. It was released openly today. Entertainment Weekly had an exclusive on it until this morning, but people were still getting it anyway. So, but it should be everywhere now. So look to see that. And so I think what you need to do right now is to think about, how can I be creative in this environment? If you're watching what's going on right now between, you know, what Saturday Night Live is doing, what American Idol did, there are very creative ways of coming up with creating material in this situation. So, you know, if you've been thinking about writing that thing, write it, do it, keep your chops up, you know. I think we have to figure this out. We're not going to let art stop, right? So for the next few months, we just have to do it differently. Artists, come on, guys, we're survivors, right? We all know about many times without having any money and all that stuff, it didn't get it. It doesn't stop us. We still do it. So that's what you have to figure out. How am I going to do it? How am I going to, you know, be part of this interesting new creative process that's at least going to be for now and maybe for a while, but it can still be extremely entertaining and fun.
Yeah, and use this time, take advantage of it to best prepare yourself for whenever we're on the other side. You know, call a friend, call the John Masseys of the world to create karaoke tracks for your book songs, record them, get them on your Actors Access profile. There he is, pointing to himself. You know, write scenes, and then, you know, create a reel right now, whether it has to be with someone on the other side of this, you know, and you're doing it via Zoom or whatever. You know, finally get into voiceover. Yeah, that one's been on my list. Maybe I'll finally, you know, lay some stuff down. Just, you know, come out of it
We've
with
been pushing him for
fire
years.
and more materials ready than ever.
Richie, how are you not in voiceover?
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. What are you
You guys
doing?
all know Richie's bass sound? Richie has Richie has a low B flat. For those of you who are musical theater, he has a low B flat.
We must depart.
Great.
So speaking of the reel, I have a question that was asked. So do you prefer should the theater reel, should that be live performances, or are you okay with self-tapes?
Yeah, the theater reels tend to be that, you know, terrible master shot from the last row in the theater in which, you know, you're all about this big, and so they don't work so well. If you happen to get something where it's a little bit more featured, there was one recently, Richie, remember that one where the girl had arranged an arrow over her head? So
Yeah.
in the choral numbers, I thought it was kind of brilliant. You know, it was like, this is me as you go through these chorus numbers. I don't know how she did it. If you guys can figure it out. It worked. I could see that she could really dance. I mean, so that was cool. I think I'm happy to bring you in for a theater job based on a film or television role that you did. I mean, acting is acting to me. So it's just how you apply it to the various mediums. So, but I think like Richie said, you should have a singing reel. If you're a dancer, you can put some sort of a dance reel together. That'd be great. So you can have multiple reels. You can have a commercial reel too. So when we're looking for something specific, we can go right to that. So
we don't typically use LA Casting a lot for like our theater projects, but I know LA Casting specifically has done some really ingenious stuff in the past year or so, where it's like they're encouraging you to do your, you know, make that acrobatics reel, do you juggle, you know, like little special skills, little videos and stuff like that. And of course you can upload those kinds of links onto Actors Access as well, but you know, highlight the special skills, show what you can do. And then, yeah, like what Michael said, it's harder to get an acting reel on stage, but if you're someone who clearly has some stage chops. Your resume tells us of that. We're happy to make the jump and see from your normal reel that it's like, oh, great, you can totally act, and look, you've done all these plays or whatever. So
if you've done some self-tape that you feel really proud of, because once in a while we get a really great self-tape, you know, then sure, throw it up. It's better than nothing. It's better than nothing. Yeah.
Just want to do a quick shout out into the group chat there. John Massey has put his email address in there for anyone who needs tracks. You can find him on Facebook or email him.
Yeah.
Let's see. Devin says we see more non-union at the EPA's.
That's me responding to.
Yeah, I see that. Sorry. Yeah, that's true.
Devin.
Yeah.
Devin said she feels weird being non-union and attending the EPA.
Get over it. Go.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. There's your opportunity. Are you kidding me?
By the way,
they'll have a non-union list that you start, and we'll, get you in as we have room. And 95% of the time we have room. So take advantage of that. That's the other thing it kind of pisses me off. It's like, where are all the non-equity people at those things? It's like, come on. This is an extraordinary opportunity for you, So.
And by the way, Michael and Richie, I look forward to the day that you can hear Devin sing. She's got such an incredible voice.
Great. There's lots of wonderful voices that I'm looking at right now.
Oh yeah, this room is packed with talent. We could do a show right now.
Totally.
Zoom the musical.
Right? I like it.
Let's see.
Zoom the musical. Come on. That's not crazy.
Questions for you guys, and how to get to know you and casting directors better. Is it just through auditioning for you frequently, or are there other ways? Like, I know you have a master class that you also teach, which is a great way for actors to get to know you and work with you and be in front of you.
But I don't want that to be I don't want people to feel pressured to take my class to me, but that's not what that's about at all. No, I think that the best way, certainly open calls are a great way for us to meet you. Invite us to things that you're in. We're not going to get to see everything that's out there, but I mean, Richie, how many shows do we see a year? I mean, it's insane how many.
Pre having a kid, I averaged 50 plus shows a year. Yeah. Post having a kid, I averaged mid 40s. So I'm still seeing a lot of shows. So
the last time I kept track, I saw 68 shows that year. So now, I can't see everything. It's not possible. We have to see the things that we cast, and we're casting 30 something shows a year as it is of our own. So, so it's a lot, but even if we don't get there, it tells us that you are serious about your craft. It keeps us updated on what you're doing, and it also gives me an opportunity, if I know somebody else is in the show, how was that person to work with? How was, I can talk to a director that I know that worked with you. Those are all, it's a very, it's all very incestuous. We all know each other. So it just shows us that you're serious about your craft. The same thing goes if you're in a television show, or, you have a commercial that's running, you sign with a new agent. All those things are reasons to be in touch with us. I like postcards. I know a lot of people don't. Whatever, everybody has different ways to get in touch with us, but do be in touch. Don't assume we can keep track of all of you all the time. I wish we could do that, but that's not how it works. So
yeah, couple things. We don't really do general meetings anymore, and that's why kind of cold emailing of like, hey, I'm this person, here are my skills, remember me. Those kinds of things don't typically work in our line, because unless we're working on something that you are right for immediately, it's just hard to remember someone and think of them, way down the line in the future, so that's why it's kind of on you to remind us you exist. Maybe you come in for us, you meet us at an open call, or, you submit and you're right, and we bring you in. And so we kind of meet you through getting you in the room one day, follow up with a note, an email, be like, nice to meet you guys, maybe this is what I'm working on soon, or, the next time you're right for something, hey, I met you at that Newsies audition 2 months ago. Just wanted to let you know I submitted and would love to come. There are ways of doing it unobtrusively that that are really great. And, obviously, there's only so many people we can see, and there's only so many shows we can see. So it has to come with obviously very little expectation. But that is one of the best ways for me to connect to someone for a further relationship and to remember you. And also, I just wrote in the chat to elaborate on what Amber said. Not that this is, you know, the only way to get to know us, but as of last year, we did bring back Michael's musical theater audition intensive, which is an amazing class that Michael teaches. It's a 6-week class. I produce it. The current class that we had set up is pushed indefinitely, of course, but once we're back, you know, we're taking submissions now so that we can add it to the list and the wait list for the future. And it basically goes deep into musical theater audition techniques in your book, and wonderful class. So that's a great way if you just kind of want a good musical theater audition type class out
Having
here.
said that, I think you should study with everybody you can. I think you need to get different opinions. I think, you know, we're going to disagree with each other. That's the reality of what you're facing as an actor, right? So
Yeah.
I think being out there and getting different thoughts about how people see you is a good thing. And just, you know, constantly pushing yourself is really good. So, and, you know, and being aware of who you are as you change as an actor is so important. Reinventing yourself, doing different things. You know, Leslie, can I use you as an example? Leslie, everybody thinks of, or a lot of people think of as a musical theater performer. She's a brilliant musical theater performer. She's a brilliant actress, just straight actress. You know, so I think that, you know, keep pushing. Don't be seen as just one thing. I can do lots of things. You know, I'm talented. So encourage you to do that.
May I ask something about that? Because I've, if I might, Michael and Richie, you guys were one of the first people in Los Angeles, because I had such a deep dance background, to bring me in, taking me seriously for straight roles. But I mean, I obviously can't, I'm not the only exception. So you guys seem to have an ability to see that, or is it just by watching the work that comes in, or do you guys have like supernatural powers where you're like, you know, this person is working on this? I mean, you seem to be very aware of people's, what do you call it, like hyphenates or their new skills that they're evolving into.
Okay, so I started casting commercials. I don't know how many of you guys know that. I've cast about 1,200 commercials. I moved away from that. But the way I moved away from casting commercials was I began to see all these brilliant people that people were commercial actors, whatever the hell that is. And so I realized that people were just talented actors. And so, and then also, so that was the first thing. The second thing is, when I first got here, I came with a big musical theater resume, not as good as some of yours, but it was decent. And one of the first casting directors that I met said to me, "Oh, can you act?" That has stuck with me forever. That pissed me off. Like, I wanted to punch the guy, you know? So I'm coming from musical theater too. I get it. You need to be a good actor. Dancers are actors. Watch, where's Natalie still on here? Watch Natalie dance. Natalie is an actor when she's dancing. Where are you, Natalie? Did I lose you?
Really tell
There
a
she is.
story.
Yeah. Natalie's an actress who dances. You know, so that's the thing. I don't want to limit you. I think it's great. I think I want to keep pushing you, trying things that, you know, let's see what you can do. So I'm not saying you have to do that. There are certain people saying to me, "No, I'm just a dancer." I'm like, okay, that's cool.
That's fine.
Yeah. But sometimes we want to push you and try different things.
And on it, and what you may not think of is that, you know, the career and the work of a casting director kind of parallels that of an actor a lot. Whereas when you're acting in the room, you know, you're going to make bold choices. You're going to take some risks. We do that too. Maybe, you know, before we knew Leslie as anything other than a dancer, you know, maybe she submitted or we thought of her and it's just like, should we try her for this?
Yeah.
And, you know, that's the kind of thing that we will do. And then, you know, other than, we do find out things just by paying attention, seeing shows, constantly being in sessions. You know, that's a great way to get further your intel about who can do what. But then sometimes we have no idea and we will take a risk and it'll work out beautifully. And then from now on, we think of you as multiple things, you know? So take those gifts and run with them and just always try to expand how people think of you.
I have a question with that I received. So it's kind of a follow-up to what you're saying in being seen for multiple things. So sometimes people want to submit themselves, like say on Actors Access, for multiple roles in one show. should they submit for all the roles that they are interested in, or should they only submit for one and let you decide which ones they are right for or that you want to see them for?
It's a good question. It really
Yeah,
is.
I think one is enough. I mean,
Yeah.
it gets a little redundant after a while. I mean,
It can confuse us.
yeah,
if
and we
we
can
talk
move
about
you. You know, we have the ability, you guys, with the system to just move you to the other roles. So,
And we do that all the time.
and sometimes we'll say, yeah, read both. Come in and read both. You know, that's
Yeah.
fine too. So,
Or
I'd love
we
to answer Cornelius's question here. I think it's a great question about people of color right now. See
Is
that
it a good
question?
time? Is it a good time for men of color in theater and musical theater?
It's a good time for people of color, period, in theater, in television, in film. It is, we are finally, right, embracing all types, all ethnicities. We're across genders now too. I mean, it's a very, very different time. And yes, it's an extraordinary time for people of color, I think particularly. I always say, my white people, relax. Okay, it's okay. There will be more for you too. But right now there is a tremendous push for people of color. And, look, it's about time. So yes, absolutely. Right now in musical theater, boy, well, of course, not right this very moment, but a few months ago, African Americans in musical theater, oh my God, we're so stretched out, right? Amber, didn't you find that it was like tough to find enough Black people to fill a Black show? So, yeah, but so, yeah. So if you are a person of color who has, some musical theater talents, work on them.
Yeah.
Make you more castable. So,
We are just about out of time.
oh no, we're just getting started.
I know, this goes by so fast.
It does.
So
It's
much-
so great to
It's a
see
lot
all
to
your
have you come
faces.
back.
It's so great to see all you guys. I'm so many of you are friends of mine, and I miss you. And I hope you're all safe and healthy and taking good care of yourselves. And it's such a weird time, you guys. Do everything you can to stay happy. Tell everybody that you love them.
Yeah.
And wear a mask.
Wear a mask.
Don't be stupid.
If we have 15 seconds, there's one other question here that I wanted to address. It's from.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Go for it.
We have plenty of time.
Is Elizabeth still on here?
Yes, she is.
Great. Hi, Elizabeth. I love this question. She says, for someone who hasn't been in front of you for a little while, is there a way to update you on what we've been up to so we stay on your radar for future projects? So specifically for Elizabeth, as far as I know, at some point in the last couple of years, I think you moved to New York. I think you were doing The Color Purple, but I don't really know. Are you back out here? Especially if we know you, we have a relationship with you, you have our email address, which is on the website, it's on IMDb. So it's really easy to find us and communicate with us. But, shoot us an email, let us know, like, hey, I had moved to New York. I'm back in LA. I'd love to get in for you again. That kind of update stuff is an amazing way. If we know you, let us know where you're at. And if you're around, that's a great resource to use. So I would encourage.
And it would apply if you are in New York, but you're willing to be a local hire for something that we're doing out here. That's cool. Let us know that. A lot of times budgets don't allow for that, for them to, put you up and fly you out and all that stuff. That won't be possible, but it is possible to consider you if you can be a local hire.
Yeah, maybe we don't know you're technically bi-coastal. Maybe we aren't aware that you actually fly back and forth regularly and it's really easy for you. That's all great for us to know.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I want to thank you, Michael and Richie, so much.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks, everyone.
Get you back again for.
Stay in touch, everybody, please.
Absolutely,
Okay?
we need to
All right.
gather. I mean, we had a huge class. It was